Chapter 269 Swift Star Wolf. The aura alone symbolized the presence of a warrior-level creature. A servant-class creature did not actually have an aura. They could only intimidate weak creatures with their lofty figures and savage appearance. However, once a creature ranked up to the warrior level, it would possess an aura, which could be thought of as a natural territory around the creature. It could terrify creatures nearby, or interrupt the spellcasting of even intermediate magicians. A third howl arose. This time, Mo Fan could easily tell that the sound was different. The cry even caused his ears to buzz. The dust was still in the air. He could tell that the spirit wolf was significantly bigger than before. It was almost 4 meters tall. As the dust shrouding his vision finally cleared, he was able to see the true appearance of the spirit wolf, which could only be described as captivating. Previously, the spirit wolf had the typical appearance of a beast. It looked savage and cruel, and the only part that stood out was its bluish fur. Now, apart from its size, its appearance was much more balanced. The muscles on its neck, shoulders, back, and tail were significantly leaner. Its muscular limbs were more slender, so it no longer looked ferocious, but rather graceful. Mo Fan was quite surprised by its change. After all, a creature would stick to its previous traits most of the time, be they strength or agility. Mo Fan expected the spirit wolf to become even more muscular and savage, but it ended up turning into an agile, intelligent, graceful type. It was indeed matching the saying, "He who gets in contact with vermilion will become red." Its master was definitely a jade tree in the wind, and now even his summoned beast was keen to follow his footsteps. Inside an apartment, Mr. Chu Yuha was sitting in the living room with a book about the mysteries of the world in his hands. However, he was unable to focus his attention on it. He would normally lose himself in the mysteries of the world, such as the documentary about the kingdom of the undead inside the pyramids in Egypt. He always had the urge to continue reading when it came to unveiling the mysteries of the world. However, he was feeling ill at ease, as he had just received new information from his old comrade. Even though its validity was still being confirmed, he did hear similar news about the new magic element before. "Old professor, why haven't I seen Mo Fan around today?" Mr. Ji Yuhan asked. "Oh, he went to the training ground. He's trying to evolve his spirit wolf," Mr. Chu Yuha replied. Shen Mingxiao and Luo Song happened to be in the room, too. Luo Song could not help but burst out laughing. The success rate is so slim, and there isn't anything special about his spirit wolf. It's most likely that he has failed the process, since he had been gone for quite a while. Shen Mingxiao remained silent. He could not help but feel extremely envious when he heard Mo Fan's name. It doesn't make any sense at all, to learn that a scum like Mo Fan had innate dual elements. "Let's check it out. It would be bad if he were involved in any accident," Mr. Ji Yuhan proposed. "Sure." Shen Mingxiao and Luo Song exchanged glances among themselves before the former said, "We'll go with you, too." The two followed Ji Yuhan and Chu Yuha to the training ground. Since Mo Fan's booking of the training ground had come to an end, the entrance automatically opened by itself. As soon as they arrived at the place, they immediately picked up a burning scent while a hot gust surged in their direction. "Shit! Did his summoned beast go out of control?" Ji Yuhan blurted out with a worried look. It was clear that the fire in the surroundings was Mo Fan's magic. He was fighting against something. That's very likely, since there's a chance that the warrior's soul will devour the soul of the servant-class creature it entered. As a result, the summoned beast will no longer be tagged with the mark that the magician has left on its soul, allowing it to regain its freedom. Sigh. I should have warned him that helping a summoned beast to evolve is actually extremely dangerous and wastes his resources. Mr. Ji Yuhan increased his pace, worried that Mo Fan might be in danger. Luo Song and Shen Mingxiao's eyes glittered upon hearing this. This is great. If that scum's summoned beast rebelled against him, not only would he lose control over it, he would also waste a huge amount of money. The group of 4 headed straight into the training ground, and saw Mo Fan near the end of it, with flames erupting under his feet as his figure emitted a formidable aura. On the other side of the flames stood a magnificent creature with black fur. Its physique was graceful, yet intimidating. Its limbs had the color of the moon, and it looked like it was nimbly moving above a moonlit cloud. They looked toward its head and saw fangs like that of a saber-toothed tiger instead of a wolf, protecting its jaw like a mask. They had the same color as its limbs, a captivating appearance. This Chu Yuha took off his glasses and stared at the creature with a blank expression. Ji Yuhan was not too familiar with the species of spirit beasts, but he could tell that it was no ordinary creature at first glance. Even he began to consider if he should become a summoner when he became an advanced magician, just to get himself a cool-looking summoned beast, too. Swift Star Wolf. Chu Yuha finally called out the creature's name with a hint of excitement. It's really a Swift Star Wolf, the nimblest wolf species. So, does this mean Mo Fan's summoned beast has successfully evolved? Ji Yuhan stared at the graceful creature with a stunned expression. A warrior-level creature was able to match the strength of a few intermediate magicians, thus any summoner with a warrior-level beast would surely have a huge advantage dueling magicians around the same age, just like Lu Zhenga was able to hold off 3 opponents with his warrior-level beast. Shen Mingxiao and Mu Nujiao were relatively talented among the intermediate magicians, but they still had a hard time fighting it. That being said, the resources needed for a servant class to evolve to the warrior level were several times greater than magicians with other elements. Mo Fan totally outmatched everyone with his spirit wolf when he first came to the institute. However, the spirit wolf did not improve much in the past year, which highlighted the huge difference in strength between each rank up. Luck was also a big factor in determining the success of a summoner, either becoming a god or a piece of trash. With that in mind, Mo Fan had definitely become the former now. Having a warrior-level beast did not merely increase his strength by a few dozen%, but multiplied it a few times instead. Chapter 270 The Senior Hunter and His Blue Beast. Mr. Ji Yuhan, Professor Chu Yuha, you're here. I'm practicing with my new summoned beast. The flames on Mo Fan's figure vanished as he greeted the 2 teachers with a smile. Mo Fan, a big congratulations to you. What do you think? What's the strength of your Swift Star Wolf like? Chu Yuha asked happily. Mo Fan was having a friendly battle with his Swift Star Wolf. To his surprise, he had to rely on his shadow element to force the battle into a draw. It was so fast that it could easily dodge his thunderbolt, Yaksha. He was utterly clueless if he would be able to defeat it in a situation of life and death. It's not too embarrassing if I can't defeat the Swift Star Wolf. It's obviously my summoned beast. I would let it beat anyone that doesn't agree with me. Very strong. I don't think I could restrain it, Mo Fan said with all honesty. Ha ha ha, only a maniac like you would be able to fight against the Swift Star Wolf on your own. Anyone else would surely be torn into pieces with a few minutes. The Swift Star Wolf is considered the hardest creature to deal with among the wolf species. Without proper preparations, groups of intermediate magicians would not even dare to trouble a Swift Star Wolf. The old professor seemed quite impressed with Mo Fan's new summoned beast. Mo Fan raised his brows as he gently stroked the Swift Star Wolf's fur. I didn't know you were that strong. The Swift Star Wolf also has a unique ability. Cough, cough. You should take your time to discover it. Now, let's ask the others to come. I'll stake everyone a meal as a way to celebrate Mo Fan's success. The old professor was incredibly happy. His gaze toward Mo Fan was similar to one that he would give to a satisfying son-in-law. On a side note, when they first met on the train from Xiamen to Shanghai, Chu Yuha had initially thought Mo Fan was full of BT, thus assuming him to be quite an unreliable student. To his surprise, 2 years had passed, and the young man had achieved a great deal. He should actually consider introducing the boy to his granddaughter, as he was definitely going to be a big shot in the future. Ji Yuhan was also congratulating Qin Nan, but his eyes never left the Swift Star Wolf. Behind his poker face was an expression filled with admiration. He could not help but step forward and caress its slightly messy hair from the fighting. Too bad for him, the Swift Star Wolf totally ignored Ji Yuhan, with a "please don't touch me with your filthy hands" look. Luo Song and Shen Mingxiao both had awkward smiles, with twisted faces. Damn it, how lucky can this Mo Fan get? He even managed to help his summoned beast to evolve successfully? His fire and lightning elements were already insane, and now the Swift Star Wolf was strong enough to fight on its own. The Swift Star Wolf let out a heavy breath as its pitch-black eyes stared at Luo Song. It seemed like it had recognized Luo Song, as he was the one that had bullied it when it was first summoned by Mo Fan. The Swift Star Wolf stepped forward and moved its head toward Luo Song. The previous breath was exactly directed at him, as if it were trying to tell him something. Yo fatty, my Swift Star Wolf says he wants to play a few rounds with you. Mo Fan said to Luo Song with a grin. Luo Song finally realized something and immediately backed off. He waved his hand and said with a half grin, "I'll pass." This time, Luo Song could no longer hold his ground. Even Shen Mingxiao, who was stronger than he was, had been chased around like a puppy when fighting against the violent Mark Wolf. It felt like the Swift Star Wolf was even stronger than the violent Mark Wolf, so there was no way Luo Song would stand a chance against it. The Swift Star Wolf cast another proud glance at Luo Song with a hint of disdain. Luo Song's smile froze. He was actually being scorned by a wolf. On a vast land illuminated by the starry sky, an enormous beast with blue horns was running in the direction a white railcar was traveling in. The beast was extremely fast, as it quickly overtook the railcar and eventually left it a huge distance behind. "Dad, look, it's a Godzilla!" A young girl stared at the enormous beast in bewilderment through the window of the railcar. "Holy Mother of God, it's a demon beast!" The girl's father let out a scream and tugged his daughter into his chest. Even though the path of the railcar was still within the safe zones, there was no guarantee that it was completely safe from any demon beasts that somehow trespassed into them. Otherwise, how could anyone explain the giant beast that had just appeared? The scream immediately grabbed the attention of the passengers, who quickly shifted their focus toward the enormous beast outside the window. If they did not know what it was, they would assume it to be a flying mountain instead. "Everyone, please stay calm. It was only a contracted beast. A senior hunter is on duty nearby. He's currently investigating the railway," the conductor on the railcar announced through the speakers. "So it's a contracted beast. That scared the saint out of me. That summoner is so cool. I saw him standing on the beast's head. That's a senior hunter for you. Even commander-level creatures are nothing in their eyes. That blue beast is most likely commander level." The white railcar was left behind as the blue beast disappeared into the distance. However, the passengers were curious about what had happened that a senior hunter had to come just to investigate the railway. A voice spoke out of nowhere in the middle of the night. "Senior hunter, I can't get too close to the target. With the strength it displayed, I won't even last 5 minutes in the battle." The haze nearby slowly cleared up as the moonlight lit up the area slightly. With a closer look, one could see a figure flying in the air. The figure was around 50 meters above the ground, flying at a steady pace. The strong wings growing out from his back were rather dazzling under the moonlight. Every time they flapped, they would leave a huge gust behind. "Don't lose sight of it. I'll be right there," the senior hunter responded through the communication device. "Why do we need to wipe the military's after they messed it up? It's leaving the safe zone. Should I continue the pursuit?" The man in a leather jacket grumbled with a rather shrill voice. "I was one of the people in charge of the whole project when I was with the military. However, it's impossible that anyone has survived. It's the biggest problem we encountered," the senior hunter replied. The winged man sighed. "Why did you guys even do it in the first place, when you knew it wasn't going to work? Look at this mutated monster that you've created. Such a pain in the to deal with. Besides, the project isn't really humane, either, since each time it fails it costs the life of a magician. It's still the first magic breakthrough in a long time. The old people will never give up." "I can see you," the senior hunter spoke up. Chapter 271, A Mutated Monster. The enormous blue beast paused on a wild grassland, where the man in the leather jacket was gliding in the air while maintaining his altitude. His figure was like a bat as he entered the senior hunter's vision, looking quite small against the background of the area. Suddenly, a strong blast erupted on the grassland. The shockwave from it caused the grass to bend 90 degrees flat as it swept through the surroundings. "Yao Nan, watch out!" the senior hunter warned. "What do you mean? Oh hell no, he's right under me. Big guy, save him!" the senior hunter yelled. The giant blue beast kicked the ground, and its hill-sized figure leapt into the air. The jump covered a distance of 1 kilometer from the edge of the grassland. It made another jump, whose figure cast a huge shadow across the place under the moonlight, landing close to the center of the grassland. The distance that it covered with 2 jumps was absolutely insane. Roar! In the midst of a powerful gust of wind, something slammed right into the winged man. He dropped rapidly at a slanted angle and slammed right into the ground, leaving a huge gouge in the ground behind him. He finally stopped after sliding a great distance across the ground. "Yao Nan, are you all right?" the senior hunter on the huge beast asked. Still alive," That guy is very strong, be careful. Yao Nan said. The test subject this time was an advanced magician. All three of his elements have mutated. Since he was already an advanced magician to begin with, the monster he transformed into is surely going to be more terrifying. The senior hunter said, You should really end the experiment as early as possible. This is too scary. I can easily handle a few advanced magicians on my own, but this monster. The senior hunter did not respond to Yao Nan's comment, as he was being stared at by a pair of bloodshot eyes. The enormous blue beast was considered quite outstanding among commander-level creatures. Normally, beasts with weaker strength would shiver in fear when they saw it, but the monster did not show any sign of fear at all. Instead, it seemed like it was ready to kill. Yao Nan, this place is close to the railway. You should head there and keep an eye out, to prevent the shockwaves of the battle from involving the innocent, the senior hunter said after a while. Roger. Let me handle this monster. The senior hunter's gaze turned cold as brilliant star patterns appeared close to his body. Not only did the star patterns appear below his feet, there were also around his body and above his head. The speed he aligned the stars was absolutely nuts. Furthermore, a mysterious pattern was also drawn to align the different star patterns, causing the stars to cross paths with one another like meteors. The amount of stars was enough to fill the entire sky. In the distance, Yao Nan shook his head when he saw brilliant star patterns rising up around the senior hunter and said, A senior hunter is indeed out of my league, using an advanced magic as his first move. The moonlight reflected on the metallic surface of the white railcar. The coaches of the railcar traveled rapidly across the boundless field. It did not slow down, even when it was going into turns. It was leaving a white glow behind on the vast land due to its speed. Yao Nan clenched his chest. Blood could be seen from his mouth as he was flapping his wings while maintaining his position above the railcar. A strong wind blew due to the insane speed of the railcar, leaving Yao Nan's hair disheveled. Yao Nan began to cast his magic. He was casting the water curtain of the water element to protect the entire railcar. Damn it, it's coming. Yao Nan quickened his pace. The water curtain was a giant water barrier. The water screen sparkled in the moonlight, forming a waterfall flowing from the front to the back of the railcar along its roof. Deep cracks began to appear on the ground close to the railway. Some parts even began to crumble, forming a canyon as a violent quake came from afar. With a closer look, one could see the shockwave was spreading rapidly from the spot where the senior hunter was fighting the monster. The railcar was at least 2 kilometers away, and it was obvious that the senior hunter was not the person responsible for the shockwave. It was enough to highlight the utterly terrifying destructive force the monster had. The water curtain vibrated vigorously as the shockwave collided with it, feeling like it was on the verge of breaking. Such incredible force? How is it so strong, even when we're so far away? What exactly has the military done? Yao Nan blurted out with a hint of worry when he saw his water curtain almost shatter. The Magic Association of the capital was located inside an ancient palace, and so it was also referred to as the Magic Palace. The Magic Palace and the Oriental Pearl Tower were considered the strongest magic associations in the country, and were incredibly famous across the entire world. The Magic Palace consisted of an ancient courtyard, pagodas, sculpted hills, and arbors. The West Pagoda currently had 4 people seated around a wooden table. The person pouring tea was a middle-aged man, wearing an ancient hat. His sideburns were already turning white, but there were no wrinkles on his face. Meanwhile, the person with his hands on the table as he sat sideways looked like a fighting man or soldier, based on his attire. It was obvious from the number of badges that his achievements were quite formidable. Sitting opposite the soldier was the old professor, Chu Yuha, who was finishing his sip of the tea. Despite that, he was not really interested in the tea. What's with the matter now? None of us should be considered at fault, the half-aged man with the hat said. I'm not sulking, but it has escalated to the question of where should we draw the line. I've already made it clear that you will not get your hands on him. End of discussion. General Lu Nian, enough with your arrogance, and stop trying to proclaim that you're doing it for the country or the human race. In the end, you're only doing something that the Black Vatican would do. The chairmen of the magic associations from all 5 continents have made it clear that they won't accept it as a new magic element. What you're trying to do is demonic. You will definitely pay for what you've done. Chu Yuha burst out, scolding the man without mercy. Chapter 272 Training at the Desolated City. The Black Vatican conducts experiments on evil arts, and represents a huge threat to humanity. It's the truth that we all know. We have our lines, too. The test subjects are usually criminals who were given a death sentence. Although it does go out of control sometimes, we've managed to clean the mess up in the past without hurting anyone. Chu Yuha, you're too stubborn. How could you say we're evil, too? We're inventing. In the past, there were only a few elements that existed. Our ancestors did a great job exploring and discovering new elements. Having a new element would significantly help our country, and all of mankind. Are you only going to realize how weak humans are when the demon beasts are consuming us like poultry one day? You're not the only one being irrational. Besides, magicians have an obligation to sacrifice for their country when needed. General Lu Nian held his stance. Whatever you say, all I know is that he doesn't belong to the military. You have no right to order him. I've asked Dean Xiao regarding this matter, too, and he will never agree. Chu Yuha had no intention of wasting his time further with Lu Nian. Alright, that's enough. It's extremely difficult for you two to meet, and you're still arguing when you have the chance. Let's enjoy the tea. The authorities will decide for us. Dean Song-hee from the Imperial College, who was sitting between them, said. Dean Song-hee, we should discuss the training. Chu Yuha totally ignored General Lu's existence as he spoke with Dean Song-hee. Oh, I've made the preparations. Do you still remember Jinlin City? Why does it have to be there? Training missions were extremely important for magicians who were still studying. Even if the schools did not force the students to participate in the missions, those who strove for excellence would still organize them for themselves. How could they not try to gain experience if they were thinking of becoming an expert? During the meeting for the exchange students, Dean Song-hee represented the Imperial College to explain the details of the training mission. The students from the Pearl Institute and the Imperial College would be undertaking their mission at the same place, thus they were attending the same meeting. The training this time will be held at Jinlin City, located in the Yangtze Plain, Dean Song-hee informed them. Jinlin City? Why haven't I heard of the place before? Blurted out Ching-Ching, who was quite a geography expert. She was quite a genius, with an impressive memory. She clearly remembered the name of every city in the country, but she had never heard the name Dean Song-hee had mentioned. This Jinlin City is quite special. It was wiped off the map around 15 years ago, Chu Yuha said calmly. Wiped off from the map? The students were astounded. They had never heard of any city being wiped out. Besides, what did it actually mean when a city got wiped out? 15 years ago, the area close to Dongjing Lake was caught up in a great disaster. The overpopulated demon beasts swarmed toward Jinlin City, which was relatively remote. Luckily, a magician found out what was happening while in the midst of his training in the countryside. He immediately asked the government to evacuate the people of Jinlin City. On the second day, the entire city turned into a feast for the demon beasts after it was overrun. Those who could not evacuate in time were buried there forever. Dean Song-hee could not help but feel emotional when he mentioned the past events. As a matter of fact, the magician that had discovered the disaster was Song-hee himself. However, he was not willing to share his past, as it was too much of a tragedy. When Song-hee mentioned this, some of the students who were familiar with history remembered some things. Some records which were not revealed to the public did briefly mention the disaster at Dongjing Lake 15 years ago. However, no one from their generation knew about the city that had disappeared 15 years ago. So that means Jinlin City is a desolate city? Xu Delong asked. That's right. 10 years ago, it was like the paradise for the demon beasts. Even the magicians from the military did not dare to take the risk to annihilate them. However, according to the latest information from the hunters, most of the beasts at Jinlin City have disappeared, as if they had moved to another place for some reason. We did carry out an investigation, and confirmed that the number of beasts has significantly decreased. It was not as terrifying as it used to be, Dean Song-hee said. So that means, we'll be training at that abandoned city? I want you to collect data from the city. Dean Song-hee took a sip of his tea before continuing. Even though the demon beasts are gone, there are still many species of them wandering in the city. I want you to gather as much information as you can, counting the number of servant-class creatures and warrior-level creatures you've stumbled into. Just collecting data? Shen Mingxiao asked. If they only needed to collect data, it did not seem too difficult. We are planning to write a proposal to evaluate the possibility of reconstructing Jinlin City. The Imperial College and the Pearl Institute are working together for this, and so the data you will be collecting is extremely important. In order to prove our point, we need to evaluate the danger of the city that has been abandoned for 15 years. Mo Fan did not think it was an easy task after hearing the explanation. The city was incredibly huge. In order to collect accurate data, they would need to spread across the city. In that case, the chance of being detected by the beasts was clearly higher, and they could easily find themselves being surrounded by beasts. The danger level of the mission at the desolate city would be similar to the Blood Alert disaster that the Bow City experienced. It was not as easy as hiding in the safe zones. If they went too deep into the demon beast's territory, it would be the end of their lives. Dean, you were asking us to count the number of servant class and warrior level creatures. How about the commander level beasts? Luo Song asked naively. Oh, if you stumble into a commander level creature, it would be quite impressive if you managed to make it back alive, Dean Song, he said in a rather calm voice. Everyone instantly felt a chill down their spine hearing his response. Basically, Jinlin City had turned into a demon beast's den, and a place like that would always have commander level beasts. If one or two of them decided to move, their mission would be extremely dangerous. It was said that the commander-level creatures were incredibly perceptive. Even a giant bird flying across its territory a few hundred meters up in the sky would still be eaten alive. There is so much you can do on your own. I hope the students from both the Imperial College and Pearl Institute are able to work together to ensure that everyone will return safely in one piece. Dean Song, he encouraged them calmly.